So this is 11.4, and where do we use quadratic equations or formulas? Here's an example, and this typically shows up in the homework as well. So let's do this one. It says the sidewalk dimension, there's a rectangular flower garden in a park that's 30 feet wide and 40 feet long, and they want to put a sidewalk around the perimeter of the garden. Okay, which is what you see here, all the way around these little squares, rectangles you see. So the gardener has just enough money to pour 624 square feet of cement sidewalk. So what would actually be the width, okay, that we would want to have, so that when we put our framing in, we don't run short or we don't use up all of our concrete. So let's go to the thing and put up a picture. So the important information, important info or important list I need to create is I know that the area that he can afford is 624 feet squared. And then here is my garden. It's really important you draw a picture. So this is my garden. And I know that from here to here is going to be about 30 feet. And then from here to here is 40 feet. And then they're going to put a sidewalk all the way around this. So here's the sidewalk. Okay. And so the width is going to be the same all the way around it. All the way around it. So what would be the area of the new rectangle? Well, my area, because I'm going to have my sidewalk put in, is, well, I can see now that this from here to here, it's changed. It's not just 30 anymore. It's got two W's on it. So this is 30 plus 2W, and then from here to here is now changed. It's now 40 plus 2W. And so the area of the garden plus the walk is going to be 30 plus 2W times 40 plus 2W. Okay, so that's my new area. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify it. So that's 1200. This is going to be 60W. This will be 80W. And then this will be 4W squared. And so now my area is 1200 plus, and 60 and W and 80 are the same like terms, so that's 140W plus 4W squared. Now I only want the area of the sidewalk, so I need to take out the garden. So I need to subtract out, well, what is the area of the garden? Well, that's the length times the width as well. So that's going to be 30 feet times 40 feet, which is just 1200 square feet. So I'm going to take out the 1200, which is the garden. So now just the walk is 140W plus 4W squared, because this cancels with this. So far I have that. Now what I do know also is that you can only afford 624 square feet of sidewalk. So I'll put that in its place because that's my area. And then I'll put the 4W squared first because it's got the largest exponent. And so now I'm going to solve this so that I can put it in the quadratic formula. So I'm going to minus 624 from both sides. So I get 0 equal to 4W squared plus 140W minus 624. And I just don't like putting large numbers in my quadratic formula, so sometimes I try and factor out and see if I can. So if I factor out a 4, I get W squared plus and 4 goes into 140 35 times, minus, and then what is it for 624? So if I go to 624 and divide by 4, I get 156. So that's 156. So now I'm going to put these. A is 1, B is 35, and C is 156, but it's negative, into my quadratic formula. So that's negative 35 plus or minus the square root of 35 squared. And that's minus 4 times 1 times negative 156. And that's all over 2 times 1. So x, let's simplify that, is negative 35 plus or minus. So let's do that. We do 35 squared. And then I'm going to add 4 times 156. And so I get 1849. So now I'm going to do the square root of 1849. So 1849. And so I get 43. What a nice number. So 43 over 2. So now I'm going to get two answers with the plus or minus. So x is going to equal negative 35 plus 43 over 2, and x is equal to negative 35 minus 43 over 2. And so now let's do that. So I'm going to minus 35 because it's negative, and then I'm going to divide by 2, and so I get 4. So this is 4 feet. And I'm not going to do this one because a negative and a negative is negative, and a negative divided by 2 is still negative. There's no such thing as a negative feet. So I'm going to discard this one. So here is my answer, that the width of the sidewalk will be 4 feet. So that's what I would have to frame it for. So it will be 4 feet wide all the way around. And so here's an example of what you'd see maybe in the homework and on a quiz or a test.